This video features the module 730, Parts Dock Operations. The activity at the dock is the most specific and diverse part activity. It varies not only in terms of the diversity of cargoes, but also in terms of the dimension, degree of modernization, technology available, and economic, logistic, and social context of each part. For instance, the modules such as 710 Parts Business and 720 Parts Planning support general back-office activities, require procedures and skills quite common in other areas, need a supporting technology, computers, and communications widely spread and accessible to any office, differ greatly from part to part in quantitative terms, but not qualitatively. This allows implementation of such modules to be done in a similar way in any part. It just takes some training and adjustment of some procedures. However, this does not happen with the present module. Dock operations and handling of cargoes in general are production activities in which the real-time is crucial. Require procedures and skills not common in other areas. Need specialized supporting technology that is not found in average companies. Differ greatly from part to part, both in quantitative and qualitative terms. There are some parts where cargoes are still carried by dock workers, stevedores, and there are others where everything is mechanized and there is also a high degree of automation. Regarding technology, distinction has to be made between the one employed in the physical handling of different types of cargoes, such as cranes and gantries, forklifts, reach stackers, wheel loaders, scales, conveyor belts, miscellaneous trucks, etc., and the technology intended to support computing applications, which is the case of our module, for example, internet, wireless network, computers, netbooks, PDAs, cell phones or mobiles, miscellaneous sensors, etc. We shall see throughout this video that our solution 100% web is prepared to adapt to any port, to their different scenarios of tasks and degrees of modernization and technology. Any solution to support dock operations in any port has to address three key issues: safety, productivity, real-time. This module meets these issues with the best solutions and the best price. It is important to note that technology has evolved greatly in recent years. For instance, this PDA on the left, which will be shown later on in greater details, dates a few years back. It was a high-end PDA but could cost more than $3,000. Nowadays, there are solutions in all areas relevant to this module, which can be up to 5 times cheaper. Not only PDAs, but solutions such as netbooks and tablets, which can provide a lot of mobility and versatility in ports, from $400 to $600 a unit, and even mobile phones per $50 a unit. All this thanks to the web. To illustrate the advantage we can take for using today's existing technologies without running into high costs, though with big profits, let us just talk a little bit about our solution to the security issue mentioned above. This is an innovative solution that takes advantage of the latest technologies and is largely intangible. Nowadays, thanks to the applications that enable us to communicate with cell phones or mobiles via SMS, we can accredit truckers to enter the port by forwarding them a simple access code to their cell phones, and they will only need to report that at the main gate entrance of the port, at the time of moving cargoes and or at the warehouse, etc. Of course, the security code, as soon as it is generated and is at the computer system, can be even transmitted verbally, that is, without the use of any technology. The point is that when the system receives the code, it answers back with the data associated with that code, so the current operation can be validated. This system is much more cost-effective and reliable than paper cards, tags and credentials dated a few years back. When the access code is recorded at the main gate, the single fact that the system identifies and accepts the code is a huge guarantee that the operation is safe. It is only 4 easy-to-memorize characters, providing more than 1 million possible codes, and the code can only be valid for that day and operation. And once the code is entered, the system replies to the gatekeeper so he can check the license plate of the truck, the type of cargo which he is carrying, the driver's name, the period in which he can enter the port and how long, etc. There can even be photographs of the drivers in case the system has them stored. Later on, within the port, when delivering and or moving the cargo, the same code is supplied to the system, which again will ensure it is safe to receive that commodity from or deliver it to that truck driver. At the exit, with either an empty or loaded truck, the same code will ensure that exit has been authorized. That is, the truck is indeed allowed to leave the port empty or loaded, that the type of cargo is correct, that some customs formalities has been fulfilled, etc. As the driver gets a different code every time he goes to the port, nobody can enter or exit with his truck, since he is the only one who has and knows the code, and thus there are no exchanges of cargoes, and port workers always know they are dealing with the right person and the right cargo. And all this, I repeat, completely dematerialized and at almost no cost. Well, this issue on accreditation and security will be detailed in the video on the module 780, Ports, Reception, Main Gate. However, as we shall see, the security code is present in the record or when viewing dock operations data. We will see that the security code also has an important operational role. We will notice that whenever we enter the valid code, the system can immediately fill some fields such as the one on license plate and goods. Another very important advantage is that we can associate with the security code precise details about when the truck should arrive at the port. So when the driver receives the code, he will also receive these alerts. One of the benefits arising from this is a more controlled flow of trucks to and from the port, which solves the problem concerning random traffic jams that affect port activities. Therefore, this is a productivity-enhancing security. Let us see now the main menu along with the features for handling cargoes in ports. Here on the left-hand side are ships and their call operations at the port, which are important for consulting purposes at the dock, especially the calls, since port operations are usually associated with actual port calls. Next follow shipping and discharge batches of different types of cargoes, commodities, that will be handled. Shipping and discharge batches of general cargo, shipping and discharge batches of solid bulk, shipping and discharge batches of ro-ro vehicles, and shipping and discharge batches of containers. And here we have the weighing procedures which, as we shall see later on, are very important when it comes to dock operations. The rest of the menu is arranged into 4 parts, each oriented to the operations of one of the 4 types of cargoes commodities mentioned above. In each of the parts are options for 6 typical operations. Operations between customers and the park, pier or terminal, customers to park, park to customers. Shipping operations, park to ship's tackle, customers to ship's tackle, a direct operation therefore. And discharge operations, ship's tackle to park, Ship tackle to customers, also a direct operation. We shall look closely into the facilities included in this menu later on. Let us look at this chapter on the operations from the customer to the park, pier or terminal, sometimes called reception at the park, and from the park, pier or terminal to the customer, called deliveries to the customer. That is, the cargo is not taken directly onto the ship. In other words, the truck does not unload the cargo straight under the ship's tackle. The truck unloads it at the park or terminal, from which the cargo will be taken onto the ship later on. And the other way around, that is, the cargo is not discharged directly from the ship onto the truck, but on the park or terminal, from which it will be delivered to the customer later on. We now take the time to emphasize that, regarding everything said in this video, it should be taken into account that many of the dock operations, whether at the origin or destination, deal with not only trucks, but also other modes of transportation, such as trains and even other ships when it comes to transshipment. It is just a matter of easing up the explanation that we mention trucks, as they are in many ways the most widespread mode of transportation. Parking facilities themselves can be quite diverse. They may comprise covered warehouses, special areas, cooling systems, and so on. Even at uncovered parking facilities, cargoes may be covered if necessary. It is at the characterization process of batches of cargoes or goods where information about the type of parking facility to use is provided. In order to perceive what follows, it should be understood that at the time the operations from and to the parking facility take place, the planning department has already developed a plan of operations and micro-operations for cargoes, as well as loaded and duly identified the batches into the system. The trucks that will leave and or pick up cargoes at the parking facility should have been previously accredited as well, in such a way that the drivers will have the security code mentioned above. Let us see it. Let us access the Customers to Park option. The first remark is about the width of the screen for manipulation of data. They are much narrower as we see here. Actually, they have a format adapted to 320 pixels. The reason lies on the importance given to mobility in this module. It is possible with this format to work better in this application with all kinds of devices, from PDAs, tablets, netbooks, or cell phones. We believe that the current netbooks, with their versatility, variety, and availability in the market, with their LCD screens less exposed than the tablets and cheaper as well, are a good option. We remind you that the price of these netbooks ranges from $300 to $400. However, when it comes to more specialized devices, such as the ones enabled with optical reading software, traditional PDAs with optical reading software and/or RFID integrated may be an option. Cell phones can also play an important role because they can access those applications, support voice communications, SMS communications, and can even capture images and send them to be registered in the system. Note that in the context of port activities, it is sometimes important to capture images quickly in order to have evidence on situations involving damages to the cargo and other ones. Let us go back to the application. Let us select Customers to Park from our customer demo ship org. And here are the cargoes that our customer has recently discharged. More specifically onto the ship Otto Danielsen on January 14, 2011. Port call 2011-0030. The cargoes are as follow: several bundles of steel rods, 40-foot and 20-foot containers. These cargoes are controlled not in terms of weight, but in terms of items, as we can see. There is also the license plates of the trucks that unloaded them, and a document, a way bill or bill of lading. If a new truck arrived at the port with cargo to be unloaded at the park facility and be registered, we would click the plus sign and then fill in the data in such a format compatible with a PDA or a cell phone. The license plate number of the truck and trailer, if applicable, the port call, the commodity, the weight and or the number of items that are part of the cargo, the identification of the unit, if any, as in the case of coils, cars and containers, and the operation number. And here is a very important element, the security code. It is a 4-character long, randomly generated code which the truck driver received when he was accredited for that operation and has to report it at the main gate when entering the port, upon discharging the cargo, and so on. For instance, the code is PA3C. This code will acknowledge that the driver and the truck we have before us are the ones they claim to be, and therefore everything is secure. It will also prevent registry errors, such as in license plate numbers and cargoes. This is because, in the process of accreditation, the security code generated then was linked to at least the truck license plate, but it may also have been associated with the type of cargo, to a certain period of time, etc. The system will cross-check the data entered into the system against the data associated with the security code. There is also in here the way bill or bill of lading, as well as any remark you want to make. And that's it. We have the data to record a discharge at the parking facility from the customer, X Works to Pier. Note finally that this move was preceded not only by the accreditation mentioned above, but also by a plan for the operation, as explained in the video on the module 720, Parts Planning, and that a batch of cargo, commodity, was loaded under that plan. This operation would accomplish part of the discharge procedure of that batch, and we could check at any time what has been discharged from the batch in terms of that operation. This is important in order to have all the cargo ready to be shipped when the ship arrives. Shipping operations are either from the park terminal onto the ship, called shipping terminal operation, for indirect cargoes, or from the customer's premises onto the ship, called X Works to shipping terminal operation, for direct cargoes. Please notice that by saying from the park terminal onto the ship or from the customer's premises onto the ship, there is an important issue that varies from case to case, depending on the cargoes and according to the parts at issue. In fact, the cargoes usually don't go straight onto the ship. They are placed at the side of the ship, on the berthing pier, where the vessel is docked. Only when they are taken onto the ship. And the other way around also holds true. The cargoes are unloaded from the ship and placed at the side of the ship, on the berthing pier. However, there are certain types of cargoes which, based on appropriate equipment, can go straight from the carrier onto the ship, and the other way around. Then there is a row in which vehicles get on and off the ship by their own means, through ramps and taken by drivers. Let us see then the shipping operations. Shipping is a dock operation which can also benefit from mobility. We will see shipments of our recent customer, DemoShip.org. And here are some of the shipments. Port call number 30, ship Otto Danielsen. The information on the cargo is very similar to that seen before. We should, however, pay attention to the number of items shown with the minus sign. For example, minus 49 rolls of wire and minus 2 cranes. This is why they are leaving the port terminal. When discharged on the park terminal, they are shown as positive. By combining the entries, positive signs, and dispatches, negative signs, we will always have the control of stocks of cargoes parked available online. This is important both in terms of operational management of the park and the port, in terms of billing and online control of the operation by the Customs Office. This issue is addressed in detail in the video on the module 740, Ports, Stocks and Parking. Just click on the plus sign in order to insert a new shipment. And the fields to be filled in, as we can see, are already familiar to us, including the security code, whose importance to dock operations is always worth stressing. Discharge operations are either from the ship onto the park, shipping terminal to warehouse, for indirect cargoes, or from the ship to the customer, after being customs cleared in a particular warehouse or terminal, for direct cargoes. Let us take a look at this mode of operation. Let us see now a direct discharge, that is, straight from the ship to the customer. We also choose our customer demo ship org. And we get a discharge of coils. In this case, we can see how much the coils weigh. They are a single item and have an individual identification, coil per coil, as well as the license plate number of the carrier and the weigh bill or bill of lading. Well, shipping and discharge operations have been presented in general lines, but there are many variants. When one has to deal with shipping and discharge operation, it is a good idea to take into account a very important fact: the time spent by the ship on the berthing pier or dock, which can be very costly. Therefore, it's necessary to load and unload the ship as quickly as possible. This requires different procedures depending on the cargoes and other conditions. For example, a discharge of vehicles can be made with the drivers who take the vehicles off the ship very fast, through ramps, and lead them to a park or terminal, and this is done without any record. Then this park terminal can be traced down in a systematic manner by operators with PDAs, so as to read the barcodes attached to the vehicles, for instance, on windshields and doors. Another example might be the discharge of bulk cargoes. They can be directly loaded from ships onto trucks, but again, nothing is recorded. Later on, the trucks move on to a scale so as to be weighed, and only then the operation is recorded, preferably with the reading shown on the scale display, which will be automatically included in the operation. Our customers can rely on the expertise of our consultants so as to help them choose the best procedures to optimize both shipments and discharges. The issue around weighing procedures is important for dock operations. However, the options of this module regarding weighing procedures are only more relevant provided there is no integrated weighing system. That is, when the scale operator has to see the reading shown on the scale display and record it into our module. In integrated systems, however, the scale operator only weighs the cargo and the system will make sure to transfer the reading figures automatically to the respective dock operations in our module. Therefore, let us not take long on this issue. This issue needs to be better explained, though. There are cargoes whose weight is predetermined and there are others that must be weighed. There is, in the system, information indicating whether weighing is needed, and the security code ensures that the operation may not exceed the weighing stage. For instance, it prevents a truck from leaving the port premises without being weighed. There are two variants for these weighing procedures. A truck arrives loaded at the port premises and is weighed. Then it is weighed empty. The weight difference observed between the truck loaded and empty is then recorded into the system. Conversely, An empty truck arrives and is weighed. Once loaded, it is weighed as well. The weight is the difference observed between the truck loaded and empty. In order to carry out these operations, there are usually one or more weighing locations where trucks must go through. In such cases, it is usually in these locations that the operation is recorded and a consignment note is issued if necessary. Besides weighing procedures, there are other micro-operations that use technologies of their own and are common at the dock. A type of such an usual operation is the identification of cargo by optical reading devices and/or RFID. For instance, one can, with this PDA, go through a car park terminal and read the barcode that identifies each vehicle, particularly its chassis number. Note that in this case, not every PDA can be used. Since it is large and wide barcodes we are dealing with, the PDA must have a sufficiently broad and powerful beam to read them all. In short, for certain special cargoes and micro-operations, and particular port contexts, special devices are needed. These devices also require a specific expertise and specific application features, which we will not make a profound analysis of, but which we have at our disposal. This issue will be addressed in depth in the video on the module 735, Ports, PDAs, and Special Devices. The whole issue of mobility has changed with modern wireless network and the Internet. Mobility at ports has always been a necessity. Nevertheless, the old mobility version was expensive, and the devices were often not connected to the system in real time. The lack of real-time connection arose whether from limitations of the devices or particularly from the lack of a network covering the whole dock. Nowadays, one can easily set up wireless networks at low costs across the whole dock, so as to be used either by the aforementioned computer devices or voice-operated equipment, IP video cameras, etc. And these networks may be connected to the Internet, thus connecting the dock with anywhere at any time and at ever lower costs. It is talking a little about this new reality, which enhances security, productivity, and real time at low costs, that we want to finish this video. We have outlined in this slide several information technologies which ports can benefit from, even small ones, and in the context of emerging countries where there is lack of resources. We have, moreover, a wide experience of over 20 years in working contexts with the scarcity of resources as well. Our solutions are prepared to be implemented and successful in any country. We offer an excellent cost-benefit ratio, great dedication to projects by our consultants' part, and you can make use of our expertise in areas parallel to our applications, such as all the technologies mentioned above, which we can also help to implement. You can count on us. We have presented in this video the module 730, Ports, Dock Operations, along with the necessary details for a first assessment by your organization. It should be emphasized that the implementation can be carried out in stages. We can start out, for instance, with the appropriate logistics and customs treatment of the general cargo, leaving more specialized cargoes up to the second stage. Starting out with containers can also be a good option if the movement of containers is significant at the port at issue. In this context, we remind you that the dialogue can be deepened so we can better analyze your needs and our answers to them. We and the network of partners that we integrate are fully prepared to listen to and support you.